Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Oosh Brothers podcast. There has been a huge amount going on this week. But first and foremost, Louis, how's things, man?
Things are good, Cotton. I'm currently in bed, uh, not feeling the best, but I strive to put the effort in for this pod.
And look, I know we still don't have a video portion of this podcast out at the moment, but when I tell you that he is nicely tucked up in bed, like a little sick boy, I cannot understate how snug he looks. Like a bug in a rug is how snug this man looks.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Oh, if I had a mic stand, oh, there we go. Sweet. I think we're good to go. We're still recording. It's down.
Well, see, I've got one built into the desk. It just doesn't do what I need it to. Anyway, so ladies and gentlemen, I mean, straight off the motherfucking bat, we have to jump in because Liam Payne from One Direction passed away this week and has shocked the globe. Like, there's a lot of people out there that were not even just weren't even prepared. Like, all the 1D boys are in their 30s.
Yeah.
There are members of the Beatles that have outlasted members of One Direction now, which is
Keith
a
Richards.
wild statistic.
Keith Richards
outlasted one of the members of, which is wild.
Yeah, that's honestly something I wasn't expecting. It was a sad day. The thing I'm not a big fan of currently is the memes surrounding his death. It'll be like Liam Payne's biggest hit, and it's just a picture of concrete.
No, that's a bit of bad
It is in bad taste. As a fan of One Direction's music, not when they first started, because obviously being a teenage boy I was jealous, but as you mature you realise that they're definitely the Beatles of their day, which is no small feat. It's in bad taste.
It's like Shaquille O'Neal's shoe size. It's no small feat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's in bad taste.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's. I feel like the level in which this has spread is pretty wild. Like, I wasn't aware when they were at their biggest how much of a global impact they had, because for me, I didn't see the parasocial relationships. I didn't see any of that sort of stuff that within the wild fandom that was One Direction.
Yeah.
I live next door to an office block, and in that office block, on Saturday mornings, there's a lady that comes through with her daughter, and they clean the place, right? The daughter's only got to be like early teens. There's no way she knows who One Direction is. I can almost guarantee that her mum was a young mum, because I was coming from this office, my outside office, back inside, and over the sound of the vacuum, which is a normal thing on a Saturday morning, she goes through and she cleans, is History by One Direction cranked to like the highest volume it'll go, so she can hear it over the vacuum, and then she is screaming over the vacuum, just giving it large. And I couldn't help but chuck it up online, and I didn't post a video of her, that would have been horrible, but I said something to the effect of like, Miss Lady, it doesn't matter how hard you sing or with how much passion, Liam's gone and he's not coming back.
I mean,
I'm
it's
sorry,
fair enough.
There's not going to be a reunion. There might be now, because they're all grieving. They might grieve together.
Yeah, there's definitely been a huge bump in One Direction charting numbers, which is fair. But yeah, no, sad day. I can understand her screaming the lyrics to History. That's a great tune. I've done that myself in the past. But yeah, no, just it's a sad moment for pop music.
It does make you stop and wonder how much money Simon Cowell made off this man, like, and his friends. Like, for them to split up, and they all did, semi well, I guess. Zayn Malik, I think, did he hit his girlfriend or something and then fall into obscurity? Am I remembering that correctly?
No, I don't think
I can't remember
Zayn
why
would
he
do
fell
something
out of the
like
limelight.
that.
I think he might have.
He just didn't really do any
No.
live shows. He just kind of like he released his first solo album.
Oh, okay.
It was a pretty solid album,
Yeah.
and then he just didn't do any shows or anything. Um, but yeah,
Obviously, Harry, the most wild case of fame out of One Direction. Like,
mm,
no one really comes close. Like Harry
no,
Styles is his own beast,
yeah.
acting
Harry
very,
Styles
very
is like
highly rated albums.
Harry Styles is like current day Mick Jagger. I'll put it that way. They sound similar too.
Yeah, but I mean, Mick Jagger didn't really go and do anything like in the realm of solo work. I reckon he's more akin to a modern day Paul McCartney,
Yeah.
a P McC, if you will.
Mm,
In the sense that, Paul did a bit of acting and then all of his solo albums and side projects did relatively well, all things considered. Like some of his solo stuff's a bit questionable because he's got a very folksy way of writing, but Harry seems to hit the nail on the head with pop music in such a way that sort of like I could put on Watermelon Sugar now and it won't sound dated, and I reckon you could probably do it in about 10 years and it still won't sound dated.
yeah.
So, and this is not coming from a person who was ever a One Direction fan. I personally couldn't be bothered, and shared many a meme about the downfall of One Direction. And it was, like seeing Liam Payne, obviously, passing away for me was not like, for a lot of heartless metalhead types or people that had issues with One Direction back in the day, it's very easy to chalk it up to like, oh, good riddance or whatever. But realistically, when you're looking at it, this is a person who has suffered through the limelight. This is not a person who has the entire time enjoyed themselves in the limelight. Dude suffered with alcoholism and drugs. He had a child with Cheryl Cole.
Yeah.
The
Well,
was she Little Mix? Was that her? Yeah, that was Little Mix.
no, I have no idea. I
And
just know she's
by
from
by gosh,
Newcastle.
that woman she's just she's a 10. From the accent to the everything, she's a 10.
She is from Newcastle as well.
And even she is pretty gobsmacked with it. Yeah, I mean, how can you go
Yeah.
wrong with a Geordie accent? That's what I'm saying. And
There
like
was
it's
because there was a
yeah,
whole lot of stuff leading up to that moment. So he'd been dropped from his label, and then a couple of days before it happened, his
right.
PR team had dropped him because of there's been some stuff. There's been some kind of like stalking and abuse to one of his exes that had been going on.
Yeah, I saw that.
So yeah, apparently he just had a bit of a had a. There was rumors that he had like a seizure in the hotel lobby. Went up to his room, did some more drugs, trashed it, and then may have fallen unconscious and fallen out of the balcony. So sad day, a very sad day for music. Someone said, and I thought this was a wild take, that it is akin to John Lennon's death.
No, I'm sorry. That's a wild
that
take because
that cracked me
no,
up
'cause, like, look,
so much.
if Mark David Chapman had not turned up outside that hotel that day, I can almost guarantee that John Lennon would still be just as insufferable as he was in the
Oh,
late
yeah.
70s. I respect the Beatles. I respect his body of solo work, but as a man, a huge piece of shit. And
Yeah.
and you can quote me on that. Like John Lennon was a garbage person.
Yeah.
And like this is where I find it hard with his example to separate the art from the artist. But I would sooner hang out with Liam Payne, whose music I have never enjoyed, than hang out with John Lennon.
Yeah.
A hot take, but a true take. I just think he's a piece of shit, and I really couldn't give him any time. Like, there's the paradox, right? That every sinner has a future and every saint has a past. So no one is wholly good and no one is wholly evil. I would hazard to say that during his time, John Lennon leant towards the air of wholly evil.
Yeah.
He said and did some terrible things to fans. Obviously, was his ex-wife's name Cynthia Lennon? Does
Yeah,
that sound
something like that.
familiar? Julian's mum. Yeah, left her high and dry for Yoko. Allowed her to like come on to like TV sets and stuff and just wail into a microphone. Just no regard for anyone else's boundaries or any of that sort of
Yeah,
stuff. Was just a horrible trash person. And like secondary to that, I don't know the extent of the like the stalking and assault allegations between Liam and his ex. Obviously, dude needed some serious help. There was something there
yeah,
that was amiss, and I hope he does rest in peace. I just sincerely do. Like as a person,
yeah,
as I've mentioned 3 times already, who was never a fan of One Direction, I need to reiterate that like I have a no ill will towards him or any of the rest of the members. Like
yeah,
I thoroughly enjoy Harry Styles' album.
yeah. I just hope his
Yeah, I
family
don't know.
get
It's
the
a
peace
hard
and
one, but to put it in the same. Yeah.
I hope his family get the
Sorry, you were
like
saying?
to. I hope his family get to grieve at least properly, because there's a lot of people that are camping outside not only Liam's house in England but like outside the hotel because his dad's there now or something. But it's like, yeah, it's just fucking
Yeah.
disgusting behavior. It's like let the family grieve. They just lost their son.
I
In One Direction lost apparently the
yeah,
funny one.
exactly. Like,
So he was more of a Ringo. Anyway,
oh really? That's not a great title to have.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, so I mean, like for the hotel in Argentina, the fans were standing outside covering up the cameras with their hands so that his dad could walk into the hotel without being harassed, which I thought was really cool.
mm,
But there's people out there like now, like standing out there in the middle of the night, bawling their eyes out, yelling lyrics to his songs and One Direction songs, and it does lean towards that sort of parasocial type behavior that you see from a lot of people that were One Directioners back in the day, or
yeah,
even like Swifties now. I think we touched on that at some point in the last couple of episodes where there's those videos of chickies who will sit outside the stadiums and they'll hear a song that comes on that's like they feel has something to do with them, and then they just scream cry, and it's
yeah,
that sort of like I don't. I was thinking about this the other day because I think I mentioned to you about the Stellman complex, right? So when you witness something of artistic integrity or beauty, something that you are so deeply passionate about that you have a visceral response, like you scream or you cry or something happens, you break into convulsions or whatever the fuck. And I was thinking to myself, have I ever come across a moment where anything has evoked that much emotion out of me?
mm,
And I can't, like, outside of excitement, I don't think so. Like, when my children were born, I was giddy, I was jumpy, like I was really excited that they were finally here. The only time I can remember like properly shedding a tear in a way that like could be in league with the Stellman complex is driving into Blues Fest for the first time. Like after
yeah,
obsessing about it for like 6 months and getting my itinerary down to the minute and going to spend 12 hours a day for 4 days going to different stages and listening to music. I passed under the banner that said "Welcome to Blues Fest," and I actually got like I cried happy tears. But
mm,
I don't think that's a visceral enough response to be classed as like the Stellman complex when you see people like out of control, like screaming, fainting, wetting themselves,
yeah,
that kind of thing.
yeah, yeah. Um, so a big RIP to Liam Payne. I hope he rests peacefully. I hope his family get a proper grieving process. But let's move on to some other news. I think. Uh,
Oh, look, I straight off the bat, obviously big RIP to Liam, but they have named a bunch of people in the Diddy case, and
yeah,
I didn't think they were going to release the names publicly, but someone has released a shockingly large list of people. Not a comprehensive list, as it were. So I've seen a few different iterations of it, but some of the names were really surprising to me. Cuba Gooding Jr. being one of them, has already pled guilty in 2022 to forcibly touching a woman and settled a sexual abuse case in 2023. Was named in the amendment to Rodney Little Rod Jones' original lawsuit against Combs. Apparently, this up and coming R&B artist was being groped and propositioned, and apparently Cuba Gooding Jr. was in on that as well.
Yeah, I'm kind of not
Yeah.
surprised at Cuba Gooding Jr. because that video of like him walking out while being arrested and just like acting like he didn't do anything, it was kind of just off. I was like, yeah,
The
just
smug
don't show me
look
the
on his
money.
face is is not great. No. Jimmy Iovine
Yeah, that doesn't surprise
apparently
me.
has he kind of seems like a bit of a sleaze, bro. Like if you because
Yeah,
you've seen Sound City, right?
absolutely.
And you've seen Sound City? Yeah,
Yeah,
so when he weaseled his way into being the producer on Damn the Torpedoes, the Tom Petty album, and he just like came across as a sleaze back in the 70s as well. And this is here. Iovine was accused of sexual abuse and harassment by an unnamed woman under New York's Adult Survivors Act. The woman later dropped the case. When you are that rich and powerful, you can make that shit go away.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Kid Cudi, which is a surprising addition, I think. Apparently, he's been implicated here because Cassie Ventura was emailing him, basically being like, "Hey, Diddy is smacking me about, as it were." And then, there's a bunch of stuff here. Like Combs told Ventura he wanted to blow up Kid Cudi's car while the rapper was home.
Yeah,
Kid Cudi corroborated the New York Times that his car exploded in his driveway around that time. So that actually happened.
yeah,
You're like
yeah,
there is a high chance that Diddy made that happen. Tupac Shakur's family have reopened an inquiry to see if Diddy is the responsible for Park's death.
wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. Young Miami has been named, but apparently she was just one of the girls that Combs dated. Tony Busby. Texas attorney Tony Busby held a press conference announcing that his firm will be filing at least 120 individual civil lawsuits against Combs in the coming weeks. Dang.
That's crazy.
All are being represented by Busby. One of the alleged victims is a man who says Combs fondled him when he was 16 at a white party in the Hamptons. Damn.
Yeah, no, it's
Gross.
all happening.
He's just a gross dude.
It's all happening.
Oh man, it's just it's too much. Like and Diddy's going away for a long time. He might be rich, but he's not that rich. And also, the court of public opinion is not going to let him do anything or work with anyone ever again.
Yeah, 100%.
It's done.
100%.
Like we could have stopped. We could have stopped at the 1,000 bottles of lube. That's and this is what consensual adults do in their own time is what consensual adults do in their own time, right?
Yeah.
If he wants to shag dudes, let him shag dudes, okay?
Yeah.
Of a legal age for a start, and consenting second, just as important, if not fucking more so. And it's like, I don't know, it's just so weird that we give credence, we give power to these people, and it seems like everyone turns out to be a piece of shit. Like, you get to a certain level of fame and you just become a piece of shit.
Yeah.
It is very seldom. Like, one of the names I saw on the list that I read online was Ryan Reynolds. Apparently, Ryan Reynolds went to a white party. But, again, these are just people that have been to his parties. That's not, like, it's not to say that these people have been implicated in anything, like, strange or anything. The names I read are people that have actually had cases brought against them privately. Ryan Reynolds is the internet's darling. If he's been to a white party, Who knows? You know, I'm sure there's hundreds of people that have been to white parties where he has, you know, dialed back the freak offs, as it were.
Yeah.
But yeah, I honestly hope this dude gets everything that's coming to him, because you cannot be an evil piece of shit for that long and be so untalented as well, and just make so much money,
Yeah. No,
and
100%.
just, yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's
Um.
we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens with that one. It's like the famous adage goes: Biggie had a lazy eye because he had to keep one eye on P Diddy at all times. So, yeah,
That's right.
yeah, because you never know.
Um. Moving a little bit closer to home, there was a headline that flashed across my phone and resonated with me because we were there recently and I saw billboards for it. But people as young as 10 years old will be getting charged and sent to like juvenile detention or prison as young as 10.
Right.
So that's the headline. But but the meaning behind it is that if it is an adult crime, you will do adult time. So it was the age was 14, right?
Yeah.
But with the rise of like eshays and drill being such a massive thing in Aussie, there are like 10 to 14-year-olds that are taking knives onto like the train or the bus and shanking people up, or taking them to school and getting into serious trouble. They have like no regard for human life. They are just animals. They're reverting to sort of this animal stage because they hear these older guys singing about it. And 9 times out of 10, these are like young white dudes who live in the burbs who like are just
Yeah.
angry at mum and dad, and like turning up to school with shanks being like, oh yeah, I dipped him, you know, I wetted him up and all this kind of stuff. It's like, bro, who are you? Your name is
Yeah.
like Tyson. You know,
Yeah.
both mum and dad are at home, bro. You have a packed lunch in your rucksack, my guy.
Yeah.
Chill the fuck out. Like it's gross behavior. Like, you know, we grew up in Ngunnawahia, not the safest place in the world, and
Nah.
I was pretty ritualistically beaten up most days. Would I ever dream of taking a knife to school, even at that age, to protect myself? Absolutely not. Like, was I listening to
Absolutely.
Eminem because of our stepfather at the time? Absolutely, I was. But like, did I? Eminem said it himself. It's like he said that they say that music can alter moves and talk to you, but can it put a gun in your hand and cock it too? Right? Like, there's like, firstly, bars. Secondly, like, it just kind of seems like they might be taking it too far, and then all of their peers are starting to sort of corroborate. But again, that sort of delves into the into like the what do we call it now? It's like an internationalization or something. Like it's a
Yeah.
globalization.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's a globalization of what happens on the internet, because you know you got so you're exposed to so much more than, you know, like we ever were as kids. You know, like
Yeah.
I didn't get MSN until I was like 14.
Yeah.
No one
No.
uses that shit anymore.
Yeah. It's just yeah, just kids doing dumb shit because they think it's the thing to do that'll, you know, get them some sort of notoriety. You know, it just, to me, doesn't make any sense. But I'm not a kid in today's day and age where every piece of technology is accessible, and everything on that piece of technology, in terms of like social media and all that stuff, is easily accessible. So, you know, so obviously they're going to have
Yeah,
a different experience
I
than
mean,
us, and they're
like
going to.
what?
You go.
Yeah, well, I mean, what is sorry, what I was going to say is what bothers me is that the like there's no one spending time with these kids, clearly. Like that
Nah.
seems to be the going concern. Like they're spending a lot of time with their peers, and they're going around in like groups with their peers, but then they feed off each other, and that's how gang mentality starts. Is like, this is how this is how we need to behave in order to survive.
Yeah.
Which is just simply not true for like 80% of these kids. Like 80% of these kids could go home and have a meal with mum and dad, or just mum or just dad or whatever it is. But a lot of these people are cared for and provided for But I'm not saying that drill music is doing this 100% because,
No.
like I said, you can't rely on the source material to be the entire problem. Like it has to be, like your friends influence your decisions just as much as any sort of outside influence would be. Probably more so if you respect these people on a deeper level. You know, it's that old adage, like if such and such were to jump off a bridge, would you also do it? Because parents have been telling their kids for years that if there's a bad influence, don't do what they're doing.
Yeah.
But if the parents aren't seeing what these kids are doing, or they're not privy to them turning up to school with knives, or leaving the house and then immediately turning on that gangster persona they've built for themselves, it just kind of makes sense that no one's doing anything about it.
Yeah, there was that old. I can't remember what cartoon it was from, but it was this rich white kid that was walking out of his parents' house, and he said, "Goodbye, father. I'm off to school." And then as soon as he walks out, he's wearing like his trousers down to his knees and all that sort of stuff. And he's talking street, as
Yeah,
it were.
who there was a kid Mac in Brotown. He used to do that same thing.
Yeah,
He was adopted by white parents or something.
yeah,
Mac, and he like does ballet on the weekends and stuff, and then he talks about how hard his life is on the
yeah,
streets, and he lives in like the real white part of Auckland.
yeah. The whole music thing's interesting too
Yeah,
because
I thought that was just
it reminds me of that Key and Peele skit where the rapper is rapping the crime he's committed, but then like basically saying how he's going to get out
oh yeah,
because um, yeah, it's crazy how similar that is to today's situation
yeah,
with people blaming all their shit on the music they listen to. It's like no, it's become the new blaming it on video games because it has violence in it. It's like yeah, so like movies have violence in them too, but you don't go around blaming them because it's a work of fiction. Um, Maybe blame it
yeah.
on.
I mean, and I feel like in this day and age, video games are being respected as works of art.
Yeah, even if publishers
I would
don't want
hazard
to
a guess to say
respect,
that.
even if publishers don't want to properly respect the artists and the developers and pay them a just amount, um, there's still definitely some very beautiful games out there. Um, but then there's still, uh, yeah, the odd game that comes out that's just an absolute piece of shit. But it's
Yeah,
just
there's
how it
always that
goes.
too, but there's also the odd piece of music that comes out that's a piece of shit, or
Yeah,
the artwork comes out that's a piece of shit.
yeah. Just look at
Speaking of
Drake's
which,
entire discography.
the national. Well, there's that, yeah. But no, speaking of artwork that sometimes comes out as a piece of shit, what you won't find that comes out as a piece of shit is anything that's hung in the National Gallery. Now, the reason why I've just so happened to bring the National Gallery up is that they have had to ban liquids because of the Just Stop Oil people keep throwing cans of soup on
Yeah,
like old ass artworks and trying to essentially ruin them. They reckon that Sunflowers by Vincent van Gogh has had like 18 cans of soup thrown at it over its last like 5 to 10 years,
yeah, yeah. They're
which
I,
is
I
a
don't know
massive
why
problem.
they're targeting classic paintings. It's like yeah, they're oil paintings, but you're wasting your time by gluing yourself to the frame. It's like um, you're targeting the wrong people. Like if you want to do something about it, you know, to try well not like target them necessarily, but you want to garner support. You don't want to create like hatred towards you because you do dumb shit. Like the reason no one respects these Just Stop Oil people is
Yeah.
because they do dumb shit. Like a couple of years ago, they sat down on a Formula One track, and it was like, yeah, cool. You're just interrupting a race, which yes can be quite a fuel guzzling sport, but they've recently cracked down and they're trying to get to zero emissions. There was a guy that strapped himself to a goalpost at an Everton game. Um, he kind of looked like
Yeah, I
Spencer
saw that.
Breslin. Um, it's like
He did actually have a bit of a Spencer Breslin vibe to
yeah,
him.
they're doing the wrong. It's the wrong type of protest, in my opinion. It's like you can't. you're just making people, the general public, angry towards your actions when you should be wanting them on your side. Like, yeah, we can all agree that fracking is an issue. You know, big oil companies run the world. They dump hundreds of thousands of liters of oil into the oceans every day. It's like, yeah, I don't know. It's something that like the normal person can't do anything about. But if you're gonna try and protest, try and get more people on your side rather than more people against you. You know. Um.
Yeah, no, I feel that. I
Yeah.
just feel like there's better places to protest. Like
Yeah.
these museums and exhibitions aren't going to have the level of sway that you think they do. Like you're better off going to an airfield, say, and I'm pretty sure I once heard of a story. There was some like Jesuits, like protesting religious people that were like radicalized, that went out and started smashing up a runway with pickaxes and sledgehammers, so that the private jets were stopped. They got stopped being used out of like a certain airfield and stuff. Like they
Yeah.
were, they were proactively trying to stop this from happening. And I understand that, like oil's bad, and yeah, the Earth's probably not going to last, but like it's unfortunately, like you said, for the layman, it's out of our grasp. Like if you're
Yeah.
worried about stuff that you can't control, you're essentially giving energy to people that don't need it. Like you're giving your energy and your hatred to somebody that doesn't even know you exist half the time. And I'm not saying that to be pessimistic. I'm saying that to be like realistic about the situation.
Yeah.
I can't remember how the saying goes, but it's essentially like that the more you hate somebody, the more you poison yourself in the respect that like, you wish for that person to be poisoned, but all you're essentially doing is poisoning yourself. I need to double check what the philosophy is behind that, but like it just
Mm.
that resonates where it's like the more stock you put into something that has nothing to do with you, the less likely you are to have an impact, I think. Like
Yeah.
if you're protesting and you have you or you the best way to do it, and this is I don't know if people are not as ambitious as this or whatever it might be, but what I would suggest for people, if you're out there and you want to start protesting something, firstly subscribe. Secondly,
Yeah.
I would hazard to say that the best way for you to go about whatever it is that you want to do, be it protesting or whatever, is get yourself into a position of power. Don't sit there and wish you had that position of power. Don't stand outside the person of power's office and yell.
Mm.
Study. Get yourself to a point where you have an advantage over your opponent. Make sure that you are the person in charge, like
Yeah.
to make those decisions. If you feel that something is unjust or something is wrong, go and make it so that you are allowed to make those changes, or you are that person who is able to do those things that are going to make shit right. If you're not willing to do that stuff, then you obviously weren't willing to make that change in the first place, but you would more than happily stand outside someone's office and virtue signal because just wearing a Just Stop Oil t-shirt makes you feel better or
Yeah.
something. Like,
It's kind of
and there's that
it's ironic as well because like they're
there
wearing
you
the
go.
Just Stop Oil shirts, but it's like, how did they get those shirts? They would have contributed to what they're trying to stop. You know, how did they get that paint?
Yeah.
Again, contributing to what they're trying to stop. But yeah, speaking of what you just said before getting yourself into power, it brings me to my announcement that I'm running for mayor of Wellington because Tory, whatever her last name is, Jesuits, I don't know, has is awful. There's she was publicly drunk, refusing to pay for her meal, saying, "Do you know who I am?" There was an alleged video of her giving some dude a blowy in a toilet, allegedly. She also can't survive on 180.
What?
Yeah, yeah. Allegedly in a bathroom, she was giving some dude a blowy. Allegedly, it's not libel. I said allegedly, but apparently someone has seen the video. She also can't survive on nearly 200k a year, and it's also on the lottery. It's like you need to sort out your finances. She's probably buying too many V-Bucks. But yeah, so I've decided to run because I've had enough personally. Uh, you know, it's just frustrating. Uh, because there won't be any videos of
I
me giving some dude a blowy allegedly in the bathroom or saying, "Do you know who I am?"
well, I mean, as long as it's allegedly.
Yeah, you got to say
Oh
allegedly,
man, like
otherwise it can be
it's
counted as libel.
yeah. I look for me. This woman sounds like she'd be amazing to party with, only because she's unhinged. Like you could, she's that person that you take out on the piss that things are just gonna happen. There's gonna be mischief involved. But the fact that she's the mayor of Wellington is a huge issue. Like that shouldn't
Yeah,
be allowed.
yeah. I honestly don't know how she's still in the position she's in, and B, how she got into the position that she's in. Um, apparently she said she was selling her car, but she didn't even sell her car. It's like, I don't know. But yeah, being a Wellingtonian, I'm sick of it. So you know, uh, I don't know. It's just frustrating. Because I could,
Yeah, I can see that.
I think I'll be able to survive on 189,000 a year. I could. It's doable. I think. Uh, you know,
Yeah, I mean, we'd scrape by, wouldn't we?
absolutely.
We'd scrape by.
Yeah,
It's not like it's 2.5 times more than I make now. That's
yeah,
that's besides the point.
yeah.
I am pivoting slightly. There's a couple of like weird and wonderfuls that came across this week. There was a Russian man found in a raft after 67 days,
Hmm.
lost at sea, and they went out for some whale watching
Mm.
for with 2 weeks worth of rations, and then they got shipwrecked 1,000 kilometers from where they originally started out. And during the course of the trip, this dude's son and brother-in-law died, and he kept them in the raft like
Oh
the whole
shit!
time.
Damn.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
there's going to be some decay there, I
yeah.
think.
So he was
But
probably,
yeah, and the coldest sea in East Asia as well.
yeah. So he was, shit. I'd say he's probably trying as hard as he could to get back to sea. It's probably Russian to give them a proper burial. Um,
Oh yeah, that
yeah.
was terrible. That was even for you. That was bad.
It was. I was
Um,
trying to work it in, but it didn't
but yeah,
work
so
properly.
I no, fair enough. You tried. You're sick. We're giving you that time because you're
Yeah,
sick.
man. I got
Um,
dysentery.
I I don't know if I could. Yeah, it's all over.
Mm,
I'm in the trenches with dysentery.
yeah.
But it's I just like in the coldest sea in East Asia as well as what I've got written here in the notes. I just feel like how do you survive? Like if your raft has no roof, all
Yeah.
you've got is like fish. You might be able to fish if you figured it out. You've got two decaying corpses in the raft with you.
Well, being cold,
No food. You
being
can't.
cold, the corpses probably would have, at least there would have been some sort of retention. I guess I'm not sure of the proper word, but like it probably wouldn't have been. They probably wouldn't have decayed as bad as like in normal temperatures. They probably would have kept well. Um, but again, I
Yeah,
don't
that's
know.
that's fair. It could be like a portable icebox.
Yeah,
I mean, the first thought that crossed my mind was like, if you wanted to keep the bodies, I get that, but like maybe if you've got some emergency rope or whatever, like have them trailing along behind the boat. But then you don't want to get your corpses waterlogged. You don't want them eaten potentially by sharks.
yeah,
So you got to roll the dice. Like the putrefaction. I imagine after 67 days, I don't know how long these people would have lasted, but it's probably more than a month.
yeah, 100%.
And the smell would just be, oh my God.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I'm just, yeah, that sounds atrocious. And it's not like you can eat them either. Like there's no way for you to like, start a fire or any of that
No.
sort of stuff if you're in a raft. Not that that's the going concern. You just don't eat people. I get that, but like it just it comes across like this. Yeah, that just sounds like a horrible situation to be in. A
Yeah.
horrible situation.
No, not ideal.
Um,
But I'm glad they
yeah,
found him. R.I.P. to his brother and his son.
yeah, oh yeah,
Uh, yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Uh, yeah. No,
Who we had
that's
an almost RIP for, depending on how you view it, is someone. There was a third attempt made on Donald Trump. So the first one was at
yeah,
that rally
true.
where he got shot in the ear. The second one was at the golf course where the dude was hanging around in the trees. And this third one this week, apparently this dude turned up to another Trump rally with guns, not just one gun, and a fake passport. Oh, excuse the yawn. Sorry. And a fake passport, and was arrested before he could get into the rally. But pretty quick sticks there from the old aficionados. Like it's
Yeah. It looks like they learned their
yeah,
lesson from
I
the
don't
first
know.
time.
It just yeah. Well, I mean, hopefully someone did. Like I'm not the biggest fan of Donald Trump, but like if you've got security, they should be at least competent. I think if they're getting paid
Yeah.
that much money, you'd think they'd be at least a little bit aware of how to do their job.
Yeah.
I am wondering how this election's going to go, man, because it's 16 days from election day, right?
Yeah.
And I'm the outcome of this election is going to change the course of the world. It's
Yeah.
and it's from what I've seen, it's pretty 50-50.
Oh yeah,
There's a
it's a tight
bunch of
race.
people that are there for Trump. There's a bunch of people that
Yeah.
are there for Kamala. Yeah, it's very tight. But if Trump comes in, the trade deals with China go off the table, and as we are aligned to the US as is Australia, those sanctions get tighter for China, which means that I think there's something to do with our deal and Australia's deal that makes it almost impossible to trade with China, and they are the people that essentially keep us afloat. And it's the same
Yeah.
with Aussie. And there was this big kick up about it when I was over there recently. They were talking about it on the news, and they were saying that a presidential a Trump presidency could spell disaster for the Australian economy, and by association the New Zealand economy.
Yeah.
I don't know what Kamala Harris just seems to have a very level-headed idea of how things should be. Uh, reproductive rights. She's still willing to follow the letter of the law. She's got to do stuff for the states, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It seems like everything I've come across I haven't disagreed with. And then you come across Trump, who, like, I think I've touched on this like 3 times, but during the debate said that there were states where they were terminating children after the 9-month term. He essentially said, and on live television in front of a judiciary panel, that they were killing babies.
Yeah.
And the one of the judges was, or one of the moderators was just like, that does not happen. That was a bald faced lie. Like,
Yeah.
you can't just say that. It's like, oh, but the Haitians are killing and eating pets. It's like, well, no, they're actually not at all. Like the footage and the photos that have come out, those people for the most part weren't Haitian, and they weren't actually killing and eating pets. Very famous photo that went around of this dude carrying 2 chickens down the road. Not only was that dude not Haitian, but that those chickens were alive.
Yeah.
Those chickens were alive. Like it's not like it's so strange. It's the whole situation's really really weird. But I'm not nervous because again it affects me very little. Like I'm still going to work tomorrow, as I'm sure you are. I
Yeah.
am
Unfortunately.
still going to play my afternoon football on Tuesdays, and I'm still going to do all of the things that I'm supposed to do because I have to go along to get along like everybody else does.
Yeah.
Trump's presidency or Harris's presidency, it doesn't bother me one iota. But like, it's like TV. It's like watching a very dramatic TV series. These people are out of their minds a lot of the time,
Yeah.
and it's just wild watching it unfold.
Yeah, he's what he's done is he's
Oh, speaking of people
cultivated.
that are completely out of their minds.
He's cultivated a culture around him where anything he says is gospel, and anything the opposition says is untrue, even if it's backed up by evidence. So when he, is bankrupt 6 times, it's not because of him, it's because of the liberal left. Or when he cheats on his wife, all three of them, and cheats on his wife 9 months after she has a kid, it's because of the liberal left. Um, the insurrection, he blames Nancy Pelosi for the security, even though he was riling them up for 2 months before the the um the January 6th riots. I was actually watching a debate, and it was one of the Infowars guys, because it's not Alex Jones, because he's in the whole billions of dollars. And he was basically saying that the doors were unlocked and that's why they could get in. It's like, no, there's videos and photos of them forcing their way in and injuring police and security there, who still suffer from PTSD to this day. Um, but yeah, it's just insane that like there's tens of millions of people that like whatever he says is true, no matter how hard the evidence is that you show them. And it's just really annoying because you just want to like shake them around and slap them a bit and say, do you just want to either wake the fuck up or shut the fuck up? It's like, uh, are you actually this dumb, or do you just choose to be thick? Uh, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's just insane. Like they were talking about policies, and they'll always say, "Oh, Kamala has no policies," and she's put out like five to I don't know how many like different policies, but like small business startups and tax credits. Trump has no policies. He just wants to build the wall. He wants to deport all the illegal immigrants. It's like those aren't policies. Those are just concepts of a plan. Um,
yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah,
It's campaign jargon. That's all it is.
yeah,
My favorite thing from the recent interviews. So, um, Kamala Harris went on Fox News and was
yeah.
interviewed by a guy who I can only describe as Slappy from the Goosebumps series,
Brett Bear, I
with
believe
like
his name
full on
is.
shark eyes, bro. Like he's dead, and yeah, fuck, he's just weird. Get a
They
weird
all are.
vibe from that dude, man. Like the shark eyes through me. It's just gross.
Yeah,
And so he essentially tried to entrap her live on air, and was like, they were talking about Trump saying about the enemy within, and that like he has for the last couple of months basically been saying that there is going to be a time where the enemy within is going to try and take over, so that he will have to have use of the army and all that kind of stuff in
yeah,
order to like in order to keep the peace. So what he's essentially implying is that he is going to use the American military on US citizens, because he's got potential enemies. That's
yeah,
that's what he's saying essentially, right? Like that's kind of
yeah,
the weird and wild part of this whole thing, is that this dude is a superhero villain. Like he is a Batman villain, and it's gotten to a point where the people have given him that much power that like it's so wild. It's
yeah,
so wild. If someone does get to him and someone does like finish him off, no one's going to vote for JD
yeah.
Vance.
It's giving dictatorship.
Yeah,
That's exactly what Mussolini did.
it's
That's
giving
exactly
fascism.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's exactly what Hitler did. That's exactly what Stalin did.
yeah.
Like, fucking copy paste what Stalin
Mm.
did. That bro, uh, every single one of his enemies or political opponents either were like arrested or just vanished. It's like, so he's going to try and do that, but you don't want to admit he's a dictator. It's like, Stalin was responsible for 60 million deaths at least, and he was not a
Yeah.
dictator. But you know,
I
um,
just
the best way I've heard
yeah.
Donald Trump described, and this is from a video game review video, and it was a pile of Cheetos and an ill-fitting tux, and I think that's just bang on what he is, because he's orange. That like there was a recent photo like his like he had the orange face paint pretty much, and it didn't even go all around his face. There was a bit on his forehead that was like fucking white as snow. But yeah,
Dude's out of his mind, man. Speaking of people that are out of their mind, though,
mm,
North Korea has blown up the only trade road between North Korea and South Korea.
shit.
Basically, and it's a symbolic. Yeah, he wants to become like a fully independent nation, so he's blown up that road and has doubled down. Basically, like they are not working towards reunification. Everyone can piss off. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, so it's only getting worse in North Korea, unfortunately.
Yeah,
And it just seemed a bit weird. But apparently, the road is largely symbolic. It doesn't actually mean anything. There weren't many trades happening between the two nations anyway.
nah.
But yeah, they've kind of dug themselves a little bit deeper of a hole. But like with Russia and Ukraine, and then North Korea starting to act up as well. You've got the US; it's about to boil over. You've got Israel and Palestine, and it all kind of seems like it's going to come to a head at some point. Um, Makes me very lucky that we live in one of the nicest countries in the world at the bottom of the earth. Like I feel a little bit isolated here sometimes, and I have a lust for travel. I really, really do. But if this is, like what's out there, pretty keen to stay home, my guy. I'm not gonna lie,
Yeah, that's
it's pretty
fair.
scary out there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. When
But
it all
yeah,
calms down, I might go for a gaze. But until such time, I'm good.
but it's just a waiting game at the moment. You know, there's not really much that we can do except just, as John Mayer said, waiting on the world to change. You know, it's just how it's gonna have to be.
Oosh, lyrics.
Yeah.
Oh,
Um.
look, if unless we get until conscription comes around, right, and then we're both automatically enlisted in the army, that could
Ah.
be a
I'm
problem.
I'm I'm injured.
I'd imagine.
I got bad knees. Ah,
Yeah,
shit.
I got bad knees.
Yeah. I wish I was a fortunate
Because I
son.
worked out. I did that. I Oh no. Bow now.
Yeah.
I did a video on 1969 being like the most important year in pop culture history, and it was it's quite a good video. It goes for about half an hour. It's over on my YouTube channel, BB Malloy. But
Oh.
during the video, I worked out that if I think I mentioned you in it as well. I worked out that if we were to be drafted based on our birthdays, like they did for the Vietnam War, you would have gone to war and I wouldn't have.
Uh rough. But, you know,
Yeah,
um someone's gonna fight them Viet Cong. Yeah.
yeah. You might have met Forrest Gump. You just never know.
Yeah. Um but yeah, no, so let's leave the world news behind because there's a lot of it going on and a lot of it's not great. Um but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean we've got like a bit of music news. Speaking of One Direction earlier, Harry Styles is releasing a new album next year, which I'm looking forward to. Uh, it's really it, actually. That's in terms of music news that I can think of.
Yeah, honestly, like
Spotify Wrapped.
this for
I
for music news, movie news.
yeah, I looked up Spotify Wrapped, and
Sorry, for
that's
for music.
no,
The connection of like viewers and listeners for your consideration. The connection on Louis' end of this Instagram call that we call each other over and then record the audio for you is really slow. So there I will
Yeah.
start, and then he'll start, and then he'll stop because I've started, and we get into this weird cycle. But
Yeah.
we're maintaining. We're maintaining.
Yeah.
You go.
Um, I forgot my point anyway. Fuck. Oh, for fuck's sake.
So look, I'll be honest.
Oh,
I jumped in to check out and see if there was a lot of like pop culture, gaming, music, movie news, and there wasn't a hell of a lot. I won't lie. Like
nah.
it's been pretty dry.
Yeah.
The only thing I can see is who is the lady who is going to be playing the Wicked Witch of the West in the Wicked movie?
No
Famous
idea.
African American actress played Harriet Tubman actually in a movie. What is her name? Cynthia Erivo. Erivo? Cynthia Erivo. So there was a fan edited poster, basically that just, and she's thrown up this big tantrum, which is wild. But I'm not really sure if I've got the right end of this or if I'm misreading it. But what she's upset about is that there was a poster made where she is looking directly into the camera, and Ariana Grande as the good witch is looking into her, is whispering into her ear. Someone has fan edited the poster to bring the brim of the hat over her eyes and give her like red lipstick. And apparently this has set her off to like an unrealistic level where she is like slamming whoever's done it because it takes a lot of courage to look down the barrel of the
Yeah.
camera or something. Let me just see if I've got this right. Because she says it degrades her. I don't understand if this is like, she's got like a septum piercing and stuff. She's bald. She's pretty out there anyway. This is the wildest, most offensive thing I've seen. I have seen equal to that awful AI of us fighting, equal to people posting, "Is your pussy green?" Because she's painted green and Wicked,
That's a great question. Let's be
and
honest.
it's a fantastic question.
Yeah.
Arrivo points out Arrivo is green in the film's trailer. None of this is funny. None of this is cute. It degrades me. It degrades us. The post included a fan-edited poster similar to the original artwork from the Broadway show. In the edited piece, Arrivo's eyes are covered by the witch's hat, and she donned red lipstick instead of green. When the Wicked movie dropped its own original artwork earlier this week, many fans expressed their disappointment that it did not recreate the stage adaptation's iconic poster. Arrivo explained that the movie poster decided to go in a more powerful approach compared to the Broadway art. And then the original poster is an illustration, she continued. I'm a real-life human being who chose to look right at the camera, to you, the viewer, because without words we communicate with our eyes. Arrivo also offered an explanation as to why the Wicked film's poster is different from one of the other from the award-winning musical. And so I know I've got it completely right because someone fan edited it and covered her eyes and gave her red lipstick to make it look like the Broadway poster, which is what the fucking movie is based off. She's thrown a temper tantrum because she's far too fucking famous to have her opinion changed on shit. That pisses me off to no extent. I went and saw the stage musical about 3 weeks ago in Brisbane, and it was absolutely breathtaking. I have not been to a musical of that caliber ever in my entire life, and just listen to the song Defying Gravity, even if it's on Spotify. I dare you to not get chills up the back of your neck. It is a wild piece of music. And obviously there's the chickie who was in RV with Robin Williams, and the chick Idina Menzel. Is that her name? The lady who played and then because John Travolta called her Adele Nazim or something. Yeah, that's right. Oh god damn. That was fantastic. But John Travolta butchered that name, bro. Butchered it hard. But this woman is throwing an absolute tantrum because someone covered her eyes and gave her red lipstick to make it look similar to the original poster.
I'll be honest, I'm not gonna watch it. I don't really care. Uh, it's people can interpret it how they wish. If she thinks it's a hate crime, so be it. Uh, if some people think it's an overreaction, so be it. It's not. It shouldn't change your opinion on how the movie will come out or how you view it. I don't know. It doesn't bother me. I'm not gonna watch it. The Wizard of Oz is untouched. Will always be untouched. Then there was the Oz movie with James Franco.
You can't fence it. No, that was terrible. But you can't fence it on the whole situation. So like I get that it's like the poster is the poster. That part of the story doesn't fucking matter. Like the poster is the poster. It's different to the Broadway one. Whoop-de shit. The Broadway one is like one of those single color.
Yeah.
Like there's no detail in the artwork. It's like green face with red lips and a hat. Like it doesn't look like humans. It just looks like shapes made to look slightly human. And I just don't understand why this chick thinks that it's okay to throw a full-on temper tantrum about someone making essentially like fan art of a poster again that she actually has no control over. She's just an actress in the movie. I honestly thought I'd got it wrong. I thought I was sitting here like, okay, maybe I've gotten the wrong end of the stick here and begun to beat about the bush with it. That's just not the case. This woman has actually thrown a bit of a tanty about it.
Yeah.
Which is just dumb.
I don't know. Maybe she thinks like because it's like it's based on the Broadway show, but it's like being a film, it'll be like a different style of the musical, or it'll be a different version of it. Maybe she's throwing a hissy fit because it's I don't know, different in that way. But again, it doesn't bother me at all. I think people just get too wrapped up in that sort of thing, and they just need to chill the fuck out. Just I can do something. Put the energy that you put into that into something else, and you'll be much better off. There's no need for the sort of.
You know what? Arguably. Sorry, I was just going to say, arguably, the fan-made poster is better.
Yeah, it usually is.
Like,
It's usually
I'm
how
looking
it
at it
goes.
right now, and it has its merits. Like it's like the other one is like she's looking directly into the camera, whatever. But this other one that you can still see the whites of her eyes in the shadow, and she's got a half-cocked little smile going on. And it's still Ariana Grande whispering into her ear.
Yeah.
If anything, I actually, the fan art one's better. And I think maybe that's why she's so upset about it.
Maybe.
I don't know if you've seen it yet, but yeah, I feel like that might be the case.
I haven't, and I'm not going to. I'll just have my Wizard of Oz from the early 1900s. No, not that early, but like the 1920s. And thank you and have a good day, I think.
30s.
Late 30s.
Fair enough.
I actually, speaking of have a good day,
Yeah, late 30s.
I was
36, I think.
Totally random. But I was at a restaurant in Carterton with a couple of mates. This was a few weeks ago, and like in some movies, they'll be like, "I'll have this and have a good day."
Yeah.
I did. I said that to the waitress, but like totally accidentally because I was gonna order another side, but I was like, "Yeah, I'll have the steak and have a nice day." And I was kind of stoked because I'd always wanted to try and say something like that at a restaurant, but like it would have just not felt right because it wasn't like it wouldn't have been What if? Yeah, that time it was just accidental, but I'm super happy that I did that. But anyway, that's me.
I just googled that, and it's 1939. Came out in 1939.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think the only other thing I had here was SpaceX. The Starship rocket lands back in its wee holster. If you've seen that video, it's quite impressive.
Yeah. No. Big up to
Yeah.
the engineers, and the and all those fellas for doing that. No big up to Elon Musk because he's just awful. He probably smells too. He looks like the kind of guy that would smell. Um,
Yeah, like
but
faintly of piss. Like you'd be
yeah,
sitting there with 4 or 5 dudes, and you can tell one of you like smells a little bit like wee. He's the guy that smells like wee. I
yeah.
can almost guarantee it.
But yeah, no. So yeah, well done to the engineers for that. Elon Musk can suck 1,000 dicks. Um, yeah,
In a row too, no breaks.
yeah, in a row, no breaks.
Wellity, wellity, wellity. I feel like
Yeah,
we've reached the natural conclusion of this week's episode.
indeed, I think so. What a serious episode. That was
Yeah, very
like,
serious episode.
yeah,
Apologies to the viewers for the seriousness of the episode. There wasn't a lot of very positive news that came out of this week. A few people died.
no,
Presidential election looks really scary. Diddy continues to be a creep, and it
yeah,
just it just sort of rolls on from there. We'll try and make it a little bit more lighthearted as we venture forth. But yeah, unfortunately, a lot of the news this week was just very grim.
yeah.
What
I
else
mean,
can be said, really?
we didn't even mention the Florida hurricanes because there was still a bit of follow up from
Oh
that.
no, we
Some
mentioned
guy,
Milton last week.
yeah, but like there was a bit more follow up because some guy had like, not only was there like another smaller hurricane, but there was also some guy that had was evacuating, but had tied his dog to a tree post in the hurricane and then just drove off. Which was just fucking disgusting behavior.
What a piece of shit.
But he has been arrested, which is good
Yep.
news. Unfortunately, because there's no hefty laws against animal abuse currently. It's definitely a crime and there's laws against it, but it's not like you don't get like a maximum sentence. He'll probably get off with a slap on the wrist. Um, but yeah,
Another wonderful light piece of news to add to
I
our
know,
very, very dark week of news here on the Oosh Bros podcast.
I know, I know.
I'm going to sign off this evening by wishing you all a sad but stick around for the next one. I'm sure it gets better. Oosh.
Indeed.
So Oosh.
And yeah, well, and we're nearing Halloween. Have you decided on your Halloween outfit yet?
I haven't. I'm trying to oosh my way out of this episode before it gets too damn sad. But like it's
No, no,
no, I haven't. I haven't
end it.
picked a Halloween outfit yet for.
Yeah, we'll end it lightly. I've decided on mine. I just have to sort it out. Um, I'm gonna go as Bob Ross. I think. I just think
That's actually a fantastic shout.
yeah, yeah, because like I've got the hairy chest, so I can have the buttons down to the breast. I've got blue jeans. I just need, some shoes that he will want, some probably like brown boots or whatever, and just an afro. And then, what's the thing you'd carry in his hand with all the paints on it? What's that called?
Is it a palette or is it? It's not an easel.
Nah, an easel's the stand. We're gonna paint a happy little tree right here. And if you tell anyone that tree's there,
Just a happy little tree. Okay. It's called a paint palette.
a paint
Just
palette,
Google it.
right?
It's called a paint palette.
So now I just got to find an
Yeah.
afro, a paint palette.
You might need yourself like a button-up denim shirt and a button-up denim shirt.
Yeah, that one shouldn't be too hard to find. But yeah, so I've decided on that because there's not only a Halloween party over here, but I've got there's a Bally Dead Zephyrs gig that if you're listening, you'll go
Well,
to.
there is, and it's absolutely. Yeah, that's gonna be a laugh and a half. I'm really enjoying that. That promo upcoming. We're selling $13 tickets, which all of you would have missed out on because this episode comes out on Wednesday and the episode is filmed on a Sunday. But if
Wait,
you
do I
want to
have
buy
to buy?
tickets,
Do I have to buy
they are
tickets?
available. I guess.
Motherfucker. So no free merch and no free tickets.
Everyone else's siblings have to purchase tickets. Every other sibling.
Yeah, but I'm like the fifth Zephyr. I'm technically in the band. So,
We've had like 5 or 6 fifth Zephyrs.
Yeah, but no, I am. I am the fifth Zephyr. I've been there since the beginning. Since the inception. I had band tryouts.
I've been there for you since day one.
Yeah. I even had tryouts. They didn't go well, but I had tryouts.
Oh, hell. Yeah. I mean, one of the prerequisites we should have mentioned is that you have to play an instrument.
Yeah. But anyway, let's end it there then, I think. Unless
I feel like that's the case. Well, I mean, third time's the charm. I've tried to end the episode 3 times now. This is the 3rd time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
I'm gonna bid all of these great ladies and gentlemen. If you stuck around to the end of this episode, I appreciate you. Oosh.
Yeah. I'll see you guys when I'm looking at you, I guess. Peace.
Oosh. You have to say it as well. You have to say oosh. That's how we sign the episode.
I've said oosh.
Right?
I've said oosh a few times before, but oosh. Bye. Oosh. Boosh.
Oosh.
Oosh.
Boosh.
Boosh. Gadoosh.